Hello, Maverick Traders. Welcome out to your currency recap, July 8th. Corey here with you. So we're going to take a look at meaningful news in the markets, what commodity markets are doing. We always look at some charts and do some technical analysis, and then ultimately with the goal of identifying the very best setups in the cryptocurrency or Forex markets.
Disclaimer. This video was created for professional Forex and crypto traders. Maverick Currencies is a proprietary trading firm that employs professional traders around the world. Our traders trade firm capital and keep 70 to 80% of profits they generate. All trades and analysis in this video are for professional traders only. If you are interested in becoming a professional Forex and currency trader for Maverick, click the apply button in the video description. Let's break down what happened today.
So today, not a lot going on in the equity markets, basically flat. Crypto had a little bit of a bounce back, and FX markets relatively tame. But we're looking at politics. Politics can move markets. Trump is going to pick a VP, pardon me. It might be a VIP, VP, I don't know. Biden fundraising has tanked after his debate results. There's real question marks whether he'll even be the candidate. And like I said, crypto bouncing, but is this just a short covering rally? Does it have legs? We're going to look at the charts and decide that together. Like I said, currency's not moving a whole lot. Kiwi down, Swiss franc down a little bit. CAD slight outperformer, but nothing major happening in currencies so far today. Crypto, like we said, with the bounce back commodity markets, gold and oil each down about 1%. Now, if we break down the crypto markets, Bitcoin Cash was the big outperformer today. Part of that was just kind of like pulling a rubber band. It snapped back. Bitcoin Cash has been a laggard, has really underperformed, and so sometimes that's where you get the biggest rally. Again, to my eye, it still looks like primarily short covering. I would not call this an uptrend in any way, shape, or form in crypto. But if you want to see an uptrend, look at the equity markets. We continue to chug along and push higher. It's not widespread. Only about half of stocks are going up, but they happen to be the more important stocks, the ones that are the biggest weighting in the S&P, Apple and Amazon and Microsoft and those corporations. The S&P had a little exhaustion pattern here a couple of weeks ago. And what do you do when you're exhausted? Well, you take a rest, and that's what the markets did. And that's a sign of strength. When you've been strong and then you get exhausted and all they can muster is enough selling pressure to push you sideways, it just tells you there's a lack of sellers, a lack of supply. There wasn't even a deep enough pullback to get us all the way back to the 20-period moving average. And sure enough, we have broken out and are taking off once again to the upside. So equities remain strong. Now, for the rest of this week, few things to be aware of. Here in the U.S., we've got Fed Chair Powell speaking tomorrow morning. We've got the RBNZ meeting. We've got Fed Chair Powell testifying again on Wednesday. And then on Thursday, we've got CPI data here in the U.S. On Friday, you get PPI, not as big a mover as the CPI data. So certainly CPI, and then paying attention to anything that the Fed Chair Powell says and how that might impact US dollars. If you're trading the New Zealand dollar or have interest in trading the Kiwi, be aware of Tuesday night and the RBNZ statement. Now, as we look at currencies, we're always trying to identify best and worst, right? So certainly crypto, I had one of my better trading calls in crypto, and we'll look at that chart here in a minute, but they continue to underperform. Japanese yen weak. On the stronger side, British pound and Australian dollar. But the thing that worries me about currencies, about the FX markets is I don't know what to pair with what. Now, Japanese yen is an obvious short candidate. It's a little bit more dangerous time because there's rumblings about them intervening. When they announce, if they announce that they're going to intervene, the yen could be up 1, 2, 3% on that news. So it's hard to trade the Japanese yen and at least not have a little caution, a little bit of nervousness because we just don't control the Bank of Japan and when they might make an announcement and what they might do. So there's real potential that they'll try to intervene to curb the yen's weakness and so on. Now, ultimately, central banks have failed in the past when they've tried to do that, but that doesn't mean other central banks will have learned their lessons and not try. So, Japanese yen's a hard one. Next best candidate, really disappointing price action in the US dollar because we had been in a consolidation. We tried to break out to the upside, and remember, from false moves come fast moves. So, possible trades, I think if I were looking on the short side, certainly the crypto markets, so Bitcoin, I had highlighted this idea that Bitcoin was in a fantastic chart setup. You had the major support back here, which we retested. This makes the inverse cup. And then we calculated it together. We said, okay, what's 30% of that cup? It puts us on a rally up to about 63,000 and change. And look at where we went. Exactly there, failed, and went right down. This thing traded so perfectly, essentially to the penny of what we had laid out in terms of an ideal short entry in the crypto market. So if you can just take that chart and identify what was happening and how we looked at that, last week's currency recap highlighting that possibility. Maybe it was a couple of weeks ago. I don't remember when we did it exactly, but we certainly laid out that case of exactly right up there at those levels. And now remember, in terms of review, remember the calculation is 72,000 was the top up here. That's the resistance. The bottom end of the range was 60,000. So this trading range was 12,000. We said that that's the cup, right? The inverse cup. The handle is usually 30% of the size of the cup. So we pulled out our calculator and we said, okay, if 12,000 is the size of the cup, what's 30% of that? It's 3,600. From 60,000, if you add 3,600, it's 63,600. And this went right up to that level and then failed. I mean, it was just picturesque. And if you were shorting in that 63,000 range, it's all the way down to 56,000 so far, and quite possibly more to go. Now, if we look at a chart of the US dollar, like I said, in terms of USD, let me pull this up over here. This was the trading range in US dollar, and what happened with it? Well, attempted breakout to the upside, and ultimately a failure of such. And from false moves come fast moves. I would anticipate the US dollar picking up steam, picking up pace, and continuing lower down towards the prior lows, even lower than that. When I see false breakouts, I get pretty excited about trading that false breakout to have a fast move in the other direction. So I think US dollar is the best short in currency land. And our longs are, of course, Aussie and British pound. So you could go long a pair like GBP USD. You could go long Aussie USD. And both of those would get you short US dollars. I think that's the play here, right now, when looking at the currency market. So continue to look to short crypto. For the next trade, I like pound and Aussie paired against US dollar. Pick your spots, find your setups, and then that, I think, can be an opportunity with good risk and reward. Hope you enjoyed today's currency recap. Have a great week, everyone. We'll see you next time.